So hey all, I hope you had a good holiday. This is going to be the first vlog that will be released in 2023, so welcome to the new year. And I'm going to try to keep this relatively brief because I am just um, still trying to figure out exactly what my plan is, but I've got a couple of things to talk about, and I'm starting to work on a couple of ideas for future reviews and future videos that are not book reviews so that I can have a couple of things get into a rhythm. Because I'm trying to find a couple of a couple of topics that I can cover, and I think I've got a couple of ideas. I just kind of need to get into the rhythm of producing them, just like I have with the book reviews. And then once I've got a cycle going, it'll be easier to keep that up. But let's see. In writing news, I guess I can say that the story that I was working on, the short story, it kind of sort of, I guess, became something else. It was not a bad story in itself, but I kind of felt that it came away from its intended goal, which is kind of why I'm always afraid to, I guess, talk about too many things before I have them in the bag, so to speak, because I always kind of feel like it presents the impression, and in a way it kind of is, that I end up talking about things and not actually doing half of them. And, a lot of them are on the drawing board. It's not like I've given up on any of them, but I mean, I'm trying to get to a steadier place where I can uh, more comfortably produce things, get things finished, actually, relieve the self-imposed pressure that I need to be doing stuff all the time, things like that. Just sort of get, uh, like I was saying with the video stuff, get into a cycle, because that really does seem to help me. Um, Working on videos every other week, having stuff set up in advance, it really does help, and it helps me a lot with a lot of the feelings that get in the way when I'm trying to do creative things, because I'm sure maybe I'm not the only person whose brain works this way, but it's like I work a lot better when I don't have any self-perceived pressure, or at least as little as possible. So when I started doing the vlogs, at first it was a lot of anxiety just getting to do them, just even having my face on YouTube, and the more I did them, the easier it got. And then I had a pattern, and I sort of developed I guess, a routine and a schedule. And then I started doing that with the other things, and so far it seems to be helping. So I'm going to try and see if I can just get into, I guess, a routine with just about everything. So, but insofar as the story, it's not scrapped, but I think I'm splitting it into two ideas, because the story that I came up with for the short story that was originally titled Asia's Story was supposed to be basically, I guess, a character's kind of solo introduction, and it ended up being about the group. And the story about the group is not a bad story, it's just about the group. So I'm kind of thinking of splitting them into two stories and eventually finishing them both. And the plan would be to retool Asia's story, keep the parts that I liked, keep the parts that were basically about him, and craft a new tale to wrap around that. And the rest of the story is salvageable pretty much as it is. It just kind of needs a little bit of editing, I guess, a new introduction, maybe a new uh, conclusion, a new wrap up, and a couple of narration changes, because it was written in first person, because I was writing this story, from Asia's point of view. And I've also been working on another short story idea that I'm trying to develop about a couple of the main characters just kind of talking about, I guess, what they think is beyond the walls of their city, which they really have never seen. So a lot of what they have is just kind of like supposition, things they've heard, that sort of thing. And I'm not exactly sure where that's going. It's kind of like a little bit of a slice of life story without necessarily a plot per se. But that's okay. It's like that. Not everything has to have a global repercussions or whatever, so to speak. But and I also need to get back to work on my bigger projects, and I've been kind of avoiding that a little bit. But the key that I think I need to do is just to sort of try and be consistent, to try and figure out a routine, and to just work on it for a set amount of time and just have that be it. It's like work on it for like an hour or something rather than it be a page count or anything like that, because that always just ends up making me feel anxious about accomplishing the goal, and instead of actually focusing on the work, I end up focusing on the numbers, and it's not good for me. Maybe some people can work like that, but I can't. um but anyway, that's kind of what I'm working on right now, and at least for the time being, I'm gonna try to do a little more, and then I'm just gonna, I guess, have to start releasing some stuff, because I do have some stuff finished. Some stuff is good. I was hoping to have a little bit more of a cushion, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll make that decision later, not right now. But in video news, today I'm working on a vlog, and I'm also going to try and do the 2022 year in review. Hopefully, that won't take much more than an hour altogether to film, but we will see. I was planning on trying to do something else, maybe, because there are a couple of other video topics that I'm still working on developing. And mostly the thing is that I was going to do it on Saturday, but Saturday was Christmas Eve, and I just kind of didn't feel like it at the time. So I just decided, okay, I'll do this stuff on Monday afternoon instead. So here we are. But that being said, it also means I have a smaller time window than I normally do. But I think that it'll all work out eventually, because I'm pretty far in advance, and I think I'm far enough that it should be able to absorb any. I mean, I'm still producing material. I'm going to produce at least 2 videos today, so I mean, I should be still well into my cushion, but we'll see. Okay, let's see. Books I'm reading. I'm still reading the same 3 books. It's not a bad thing. It's just that with Christmas coming up, I kind of haven't been in the mood to spend as much time reading as I normally do. The Usually what I try and do is Monday, Wednesday, Friday after work, and Sunday morning. Usually spend at least an hour each of those sessions reading. And part of it is because I'm currently reading 3 books instead of 2, and part of that is the holidays, because I've just been spending some more time trying to finish Terminator Resistance, because I've been playing that game lately, and I kind of wanted to finish it and just get it crossed off my list. And it was a good game. I'm not really going to talk about it right now, but anyway. I'm still reading Star Trek Picard Second Self, I'm still reading Squirrel Girl, and I'm still reading Gideon the Ninth. And, so far they're all going very well. It's like I'm really enjoying Squirrel Girl, I'm really enjoying Star Trek Picard. Gideon is kind of faltering for me a little bit. I mean, I'm still going to finish it. It's like, it seems like it's a decent enough book to finish. Whether or not it's my flavor, I don't know. I mean, I was quite enthused with it when I first started, but it just kind of felt like it stalled a little bit to me. Or maybe I'm just not getting it. But it's not quite as, it's not the most confusing book I've ever read. But sometimes it's hard to keep track of. And maybe that's partly my fault, because I tend to read the other 2 books more than I have Gideon. Just because the enthusiasm has faded a little bit. And that's kind of a problem with me, for other things too. It's like, if I'm not interested, it's hard to stay focused sometimes. And I think that's why shorter projects tend to be easier for me to complete, but we're going to work on that. As far as Christmas, I had a good one. It was pretty much, I guess, low key. Got up a little later than normal. We did breakfast. We did presents. We didn't go anywhere today because we did the Christmas thing with family last week. I called my mom. Um, And as far as presents, I got a couple of Blu-rays. I got a video game that I'd wanted. Shrag got me a dress. I also have Rilakama plush, which I'll have to show off at some point. For those of you who don't know who Rilakama is, it's a stop motion series on Netflix about this adorable little Japanese bear that just kind of lives with this lady, and he's very expressive. It's just he doesn't say much. He really doesn't say anything at all. He just kind of makes noises like oh, but he has a cute little just with like the eye shape and the body language and the shape of his like nose slash mouth combination. It's like a little black dot with the lines sticking out of it, and it really is very expressive. It's very cute. So Shrag and I both like teddies. It's one of our interests. So that was one of the gifts that I got that I was not expecting. It's this big box, so I didn't really know what would be inside it. I had a few ideas, but it was not one of them. Because I put it on my wish list, but I completely forgot that it was there. Um, I got a Data action figure from the new set. I still haven't decided exactly if I'm going to start collecting the Star Trek action figures again. I used to collect them all the time when I was a kid, and Playmates recently got the license back. So they're producing a few Star Trek action figures to start with. The first series was like 8 of them. It's like 3 like movie era Star Trek, a couple Discovery action figures, some Next Generation. So who knows what else they'll do. But they used to have quite a few, particularly when Playmates was doing them all the time. It's like they had everything as an action figure. Even like the some of the more obscure characters or costumes they would still have. Um, but as in Christmas Eve dinner, we did a roast. We watched some of our new presents, checked out a new anime that I have, and I guess the only other thing to say is that I had a good Christmas. I spent a lot of my afternoon playing various games. I did the Winter Ven and STO, a little Elder Scrolls. I played a little bit of both of the Trails games, one of which was a new Christmas present, so that was fun. And let's see. I guess that the only other thing to mention is that I had a good Christmas. I think it was nice and low key, and I just had a good day. So I mean, I'm definitely happy with that. And also, I'm visiting mom. The plan is to go travel to New York in a couple of weeks. Um, it'll be my first time back to New York in 3 years, I guess, which is way longer than it normally is. Typically, I make at least an annual trip. Um, I mean, I would like to be able to visit more often than I do, but being half a country away makes it kind of complicated. Mostly just to find the windows, but I decided to avoid the holiday rush this year, and I decided that I was going to go and do it around Martin Luther King Day. So I will be in New York that week. I'm going to take my laptop with me. I'll probably be working on some short stories during that time, maybe if I get, see how it all boils out. We'll find out. But I'm going to be in New York for a few days, and that'll be nice because I it'll be my first time going back as Lauren, which kind of makes me a little bit anxious, I guess, just because my parents know I've transitioned, and I know my sister knows, and I know I think most of my relatives know, but there's a difference between them knowing and actually being there as me, which is going to be, I guess, a little bit nerve wracking at first. I mean, I'm sure, I know my family loves me. It's not, I fortunately don't have to really worry about any of the, any drama, I don't think, but it's mostly just I guess that just initial anxiety, which I think is normal. But I'm kind of hoping that my mom is kind of like Janie's mom, and that she's like super supportive about it. Because I mean, she knows that my name is different now, and I'm just hoping for a positive experience. I don't necessarily know if I should expect them to uh, be on top of things because um, mostly it's just because it took me 2 weeks to remember to uh, I guess rename myself in my head. So I'm kind of, I kind of, my mom, I think still, my mom and dad, I think still, think of me with my old name sometimes, and I don't think that's really all that unreasonable, just because I don't see them that often. I haven't, we've communicated and such, but I guess it's just one of those things, like when you actually, until you make it part of the routine. But we'll see. I'm don't really have any plans as far as when I get there, other than I'll probably try and visit a friend like I usually do. Well, I guess that's it for now, and I will catch you all in 2 weeks.
If you like werewolves, check out my book Blue Moon, available in paperback and ebook on Amazon. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, click the subscribe button and leave a comment below. Meow.